Hi little chef, this is a day in the life as a chef on a yacht. This morning for breakfast I'm making a yogurt parfait with mixed berries, granola, shredded coconut, and almond butter. Also some toast with cream cheese and lox. After breakfast I went to go check on my plant babies and my basil has been thriving. Some of our guests are going on a boat trip today, so I'm packing them sandwiches for lunch. The owner stayed on board today, so I started lunch prep. I had leftover rice, duck, cabbage, bell pepper, and zucchini in the fridge, so I decided to make stir fry. If I'm ever using leftovers, I make sure to repurpose it to make it something completely different. I cubed up my duck, threw it in a pan to render the fat, and seasoned with soy sauce, hoisin, oyster sauce, and sesame oil. Threw in my day-old rice and vegetables, plated it up, and garnished with green onions and spicy mayo. It was a beautiful day today, so lunch was served on the back deck. My favorite rooms on this yacht are the guest rooms because the windows are at eye level with the water. It looks like you're sleeping on the surface of the ocean. I got a call on the radio that the crew is coming back in the tender. They brought me back a coconut so I can make some homemade Gatorade for Brian. When the captain opened it up, I was so surprised of how much coconut water came out of it. Brian did a taste test of the homemade Gatorade and he loved it. After that, I made croutons from leftover cornbread. Bye, little chef. Day in the life as a chef on a yacht. Tonight for dinner, I'm making seared scallops with a corn and sweet potato chowder. I cut up my onions, peppers, and used the leftover corn from the barbecue the day before to make the chowder. Instead of a cream-based chowder, I'm using coconut milk to really bring in that Caribbean flair. And I also worked on a Caesar dressing that will be served tonight. For cocktail hour, I served smoked fish dip and marinated vegetables. Set the table upstairs for dinner and started working on salad prep. Sliced up my romaine and dressed it with my homemade Caesar dressing. For dessert, I'm making healthy cookie dough with cottage cheese, and then changed into my evening outfit for dinner service. In case the healthy cookie dough isn't good, I made some backup cookies. Chocolate chip cookies are a staple for the crew, so these won't go to waste if they don't get eaten by guests. Generously salted my scallops to draw out the moisture so I can get a nice hard sear on them. A couple of the guests wanted to help with cooking, so I put them in charge of the salad. I brought the first course to the upper deck and called our guests to dinner. While the guests were working on their salad, I went back into the galley and started plating up the main dishes. When we're serving on the upper deck, the crew will help me bring up the food. For crew dinner, we'll eat the same thing that the guests eat, so I make sure that I prepare enough food for guests and the crew. After we finished up with dinner service and cleaning, we headed into the island. We hung out with some buddies that we met last year at this resort, and we had a blast. Headed back to the yacht and called it a night. Bye, little chef. For breakfast, I did toast with cream cheese, lox, capers, tomatoes, red onion, and lemon, and also a little parfait cup with yogurt, frozen berries, shredded coconut, granola, and almond butter. I'll melt the almond butter with a touch of coconut oil to make it more smooth and creamy rather than sticky and gummy. Parfaits are a great addition to breakfast. I can make them ahead of time, keep them in the fridge, and when the guests wake up, they're ready to go. It is a gorgeous day this morning, so we set the table on the back deck. The morning sun can be a bit intense, so we always go with the back table that is shaded. The group of 7 guests are going to go on an island adventure today, so I'm packing them sandwiches. I started this trip with about 30 pounds of deli meat because we go through a lot of sandwiches. I always make sure there's some kind of deli meat pulled from the freezer and thawing in the fridge to be able to make a sandwich at a moment's notice. Sandwiches are so easy to pack for lunch and quite satisfying when you're laying on a beach. I went into my refrigerators to see what produce I had on hand. I saw bell peppers and zucchinis, and leftover duck, green onions, so I decided to make stir fry. I love stir fry because you could throw anything in, put some soy sauce in it, and it'll taste great. I julienned my bell peppers, made little zucchini wedges, and started frying it up in the bacon grease. Next time you make stir fry, try adding a little bit of hoisin and oyster sauce. It's a game changer. If you're interested in taking live cooking classes with me, check the description below. I do once a month cooking classes for $2.99. Once you become a Little Chef member, you'll have access to recipes, previous recorded cooking classes, and all future live cooking classes. After I served lunch and cleaned up the galley a bit, I got back to prepping. There were a lot of cornbread muffins left over from the barbecue, so I cubed those up, tossed them with a little olive oil and thyme, and made them into croutons. As a chef, I hate waste, so I try to repurpose leftovers the best I can. Tonight for dinner, I'm making a Trinidadian corn chowder with seared scallops. Not only do I love this corn chowder, but I had a ton of leftover corn on the cob from the barbecue, so that needed to be used up. Repurposing leftovers. The guests finally returned back to the yacht, so I went outside to help them tie off. Brian ran out of Gatorade, and he said he needs his electrolytes if he's out in the sun all day. I told him I'd make some homemade Gatorade for him if he brought me some coconut water. They found a coconut, and the captain scraped out all of the coconut meat that we'll use in smoothies and poured out the coconut water that I'm gonna use to make homemade Gatorade. Homemade Gatorade. I'm gonna go make some homemade Gatorade. So we started off with this beautiful coconut water with tons of electrolytes. I added in some lemonade, some mango juice, and a good helping of some pink Himalayan salt. I gave it a stir until all the salt dissolved and poured up a cup so Brian could taste it.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah?
Tastes like body armor. You know that drink?
No.
It's made with coconut water, but it tastes really close to that.
Well, look at that. I headed to the upper deck to check and see how the crew was doing, and look at this, the table's all set and ready to go. While the guests were enjoying cocktail hour on the bow, I was in the galley plating up their first course of Caesar salad. I topped the Caesar salads with Parmesan cheese and freshly cracked pepper, brought them up to the upper deck, and called the guests to the table. While the guests are enjoying their first course, I'm in the galley searing off scallops for the main course. Since I use frozen scallops, I like to heavily salt them to help draw out most of that moisture. The drier the scallop, the better the sear. I'll get my pan ripping hot, throw in some butter, and sear off the scallops about 30 seconds each side. The stovetop that I'm working on is an induction burner, which is great because it can boil water in like 3 minutes, but I prefer gas. With gas ranges, you can control the temperature a lot better, but on a yacht, you don't want to have open flames. To plate this dish, I put down my Trinidadian corn chowder and laid my seared scallops on top. The healthy cookie dough was a little strange, so I made some real cookies just in case. Alright guys, not another late night. I can't do that. I can't do that. We got back so late. You didn't have cookies last night. I don't know what world you're living in. What cookies did you have? After I cleaned up the galley, the captain asked if we wanted to go into the island.
Kelly, we're not picking on you down here.
Of course we said yes. We hung out at the restaurant for about an hour and then got back to the yacht. I love driving back in the dinghy at night. You can see all of the stars in the sky. There's very little light pollution, so you can almost see the Milky Way. The moon was also looking crazy beautiful tonight. Bye, little chef.